Live from the JSA Podcast Studio, presenting Data Movers, showcasing the leaders behind the headlines in the telecom and data center infrastructure industry.
Hey everybody, welcome to our new podcast series, Data Movers. My name is Jaymie Scotto-Cutaia, founder and CEO of JSA. And along with me is my fabulous co-host, top B2B social media influencer, Mr. Evan Christel. Good morning, Evan.
Hey, Jaymie. Good to see you. And we call ourselves new. I mean, we've been at it a year, and we're by and far the biggest, and I'd say only podcast in telecom and data center. But which shows you how niche our niche is. But thanks to listening and joining, and where we sit down with the most influential men and women of today's leading telco and data center world, supporting the infrastructure requirements of this new normal. So, Jaymie, we're filming actually a little bit before Christmas. So happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, whatever I've missed. But what's your favorite sort of holiday tradition?
Yeah, happy everything, right? Well, so many favorite. I mean, I love this time of year. I'm like Christmas crazy. Like I love this time of year. But last night I threw a little party, a little get together for some of my mom friends in my neighborhood, and we did a white elephant gift exchange. I don't know if you've ever been familiar, but basically, person opens a gift in the center. Everyone brings a gift. Someone just randomly opens up a gift, and then the next person that goes, they can either open that gift or steal from the gift that's already been opened. So you go around the circle. Everyone, puts number 1 through 10, and the person at the end basically can steal whatever gift they want. So it gets a bit vicious. It's so.
This sounds treacherous. This sounds like brutal.
Yeah, you're like clinging to your gift if you like it.
Like a very nerve-wracking, and remind me never to come to one of your white elephant parties. But I just like sitting around the fire. I'm a sucker for a good old-fashioned real fireplace, not the gas kind, but the kind with the soot and the smell and the ashes, like the old days, and just getting slowly drunk in front of the fireplace. So, but let's get on to some other hot news. Speaking of fire, we have an amazing guest.
And guys, Data Movers, we've been very blessed to get the best of the best guests here on Data Movers. And today, no difference. We've got the fabulous Justin Marron, CEO of Strategic Venue Partners, joining us. Justin, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Greatly appreciate it. I don't know about the best of the best, but I'll do my best to give you good perspective. Coming to you from our new offices in Greenwich, which literally new offices. So it looks like I'm in an insane asylum with nothing behind me but white walls and empty desks. But you can't see all the boxes that are over here in our new office space. So other than my plant making it in and my fake Chagall, that's about as far as we have right now, as far as unpacking is concerned.
I like a man who prioritizes.
Amazing.
Well, yes.
Greenwich, Connecticut, beautiful city. You see it, when taking the train in from Boston to New York City. Is it true, Greenwich, the streets are paved with gold?
Yes, actually, it's very true. There's tons of potholes because people are constantly trying to dig out the gold and take it home with them. So your tires take a beating here for sure.
And traffic's a bitch.
That's right. But you didn't grow up in Connecticut. Where are you from originally? Where did you go to school? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey, which has a lovely stigmatism against it. I grew up in New Jersey, right outside the city. I've lived all around the world effectively, but Connecticut's been my home state for the past 20 years or so. Although if you're from New Jersey, getting rid of your Jersey roots is very difficult, because even though I've lived here for 20 years, my cell phone is still a 973 number, which everybody makes fun of me, which is a North New Jersey area code, and they're like, why won't you adopt the fact that you've lived in Connecticut and owned places here for the past and work here? And I try and explain to them that outside of the Jersey Shore, which none of those people are from New Jersey, just for the record, I believe. It's something that you don't want to get rid of if that's where you're from.
Yeah, fun fact, I started JSA 17 years ago almost in Hoboken.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and I still have my East Coast area code. I import it wherever, I mean, someone who knew me 20 years ago might want to phone me, and I want to have the right number, and is right?
Exactly right.
Well, I know all about New Jersey. I watched the Many Saints of Newark recently, so I have the whole history. But what, Justin, what's one favorite memory of yours growing up in the Garden State? What do you look back on fondly?
Yeah, that's a good question. I hate to harp on it again, but I was from North New Jersey, and believe it or not, the Jersey Shore, again, outside of the TV show, there are parts of it that are just gorgeous, right? And I remember growing up there, going to the beach, surfing as a kid, and it's something that doesn't leave you. There's something more, beautiful about it. And again, people drive down the turnpike mostly, and they see all the crap in New Jersey, but they don't get to see the beautiful parts of it. And part of that's the shore for sure.
Yeah, it really is. So when you were a kid staring out at the beautiful beach, did you have a dream job or idea of what you'd like to become?
100%. I wanted to become that, and tied to many visits to SeaWorld as a child. I wanted to become a marine biologist. And my father's no longer with me for quite some time, reminded me that it's extremely hard work, a lot of education to make no money. And so I was quickly, after growing up a little bit, I disillusioned with that idea and went a different direction.
Well, good choice. And I was really excited actually to speak with you today because I'm a wireless infrastructure and networking fanatic myself. In fact, I was so excited about the vaccine. I asked for 5G to be put specifically in my vaccine because it's wireless. But you've had an interesting career, a transition into wireless, coming from finance into the energy sector, which has a lot of similarity to the wireless networking space. So tell us about that journey. How did you go from one sort of segment to the next?
Yeah, I got out of school, in the late 90s, 99, 2000. I spent a year in the city doing that. And the joke was always, if the windows opened, I would have jumped out. And I saw the need. So from finance, we went into towers. And really the motivation there was I wanted to be in the real estate business. I wanted to be in the recurring cash flow business. And at the time, you couldn't compete. This is pre-explosion of REITs everywhere. And so I really wanted to be in the commercial mall business. And you just couldn't compete, right? If you want to move to North Carolina or the Northeast, and or on the West Coast. So I could have, I guess, moved to South Carolina and started buying malls and doing that type of work. I didn't want to do that. And, the thought at the time was wireless phones were taking off. As a side note, I had a fraternity brother whom I loved, and his parents were both neurosurgeons. And I remember being in college, and this kid had a cell phone, and I was like, "Who are you?" Like when growing up, the most important people would have cell phones, right? Like doctors, police, etc., politicians, I'm sure. And I was like, nobody needs to hear from you, right? Like you are the least important person in the whole world. Why do you have a cell phone? And his parents gave it to him because they wanted to get in touch with him. And like the idea started germinating in my head, like if this idiot, again, who I love, has a cell phone, more people are gonna have cell phones, right? And you start thinking about like just connectivity, and then it's like, okay, well, if he has one, then you're gonna want to give one to your parents, and then and then parents are gonna want to have it for their kids, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so the idea started snowballing from there. And then we went out and built a bunch of cell towers and started providing solutions to the carriers. Then still have some of those sites. We sold a bit off and used those monies to go into the renewables areas. And you had said that there's a crossover, and there really is. From building a cell tower to a wind turbine, it's very similar. The only difference is the size of the caissons, right? And as opposed to propagating wireless signals, you're selling power. And so instead of having an agreement with Verizon to propagate a signal, you have a power purchase agreement, right, to sell power back into the grid at that side. And we're following the tax incentive dollars. At this point in time, mid 2000s, towers were going crazy. I mean, wind was going crazy, predominantly in the Midwest through the Southwest and parts of the Northwest at the time through Southeast California. And so we were kind of on the forefront of that and doing things like, I guess if there's a concept behind what we've done, it's always, water ski behind oil tankers. Right. And I'll get into that, like what we do in wireless. But what I mean by that is you had these large organizations that were building massive amounts of infrastructure, but nobody was kind of doing the middle market and smaller type of build outs. And so we focused on that and really started building out systems there. Same thing happened with solar. We sold off that and moved into solar. And again, at the time, folks and companies were focused on building $200-300 million type of solar plants. Nobody was looking at $10 to $100 million type of solar plants and or distributed generation behind the meter type of stuff. And so that's kind of the solution we started providing there, and that was successful. And then of course found our way into wireless, and there's so many similarities along the way that we'll get into on the call, but that was part of that trajectory of how to get here.
You have like a magic vision. You can predict where the tide is turning. It's brilliant. What was your aha moment when you decided to leave energy for wireless infrastructure investment and development at your current firm, Strategic Venue Partners, SVP?
Yeah, again, the thought was, a couple of things. One, how do we solve problems? Where's the opportunity? How do you compete against again, large oil tankers, right? And so you can't compete against American Tower, Crown Castle, the public companies, even what Mark Gansey was building at, pre-digital colony, I guess now. And so their cost of capital is what it is. You're not going to go out and buy cell towers, right? I mean, it's not a profitable space if you're like us in our size. And the thought was all this infrastructure had to be built out in the enterprise market, right? And what I mean by that is real estate, healthcare, malls, not necessarily airports or stadiums where it is still needing to be built out, but it was really in this other area. And when you think about providing a solution, the wireless carriers are highly focused on the highest foot trafficked areas. But then and they're willing to pay to be in those areas. But then if you take a step back and you say, I'm looking out my window at a bunch of different offices here, and you say, these guys need connectivity just like a stadium does. Right? There's no difference. The question is, how do you provide them that type of solution, and what's the right way to prosecute that type of concept? And so we launched SVP with that in mind. Started off with like, we have the right idea. Everybody said it can't be done the way we're doing it. And so when you have the right idea, you need to be persistent and keep following that right idea to then make it successful and kind of prove everybody wrong. And you have a window to do that, as far as timing and your capital and everything else. And I don't know if I have a crystal ball in my head, but and I'm sure a lot of it's luck along the way. But we've done it, and we've done it pretty well so far.
Yeah.
Love the mission. That's really fantastic. We're actually recording this on a 5G connection. I'm in a big Hilton and a hotel chain, and tremendous 5G coverage, ultra high speed 5G. They must have some kind of in-building wireless service. So that's just a fantastic opportunity. It seems across hospitality as well as healthcare and retail and other places. So tell us more about SVP's mission of disruption. That's a heavy challenge given the wireless sector today. So what's your perspective as a smaller, nimbler player out in this market?
That's just it. I hate to keep going back to the oil tanker analogy, and I'm not smart enough to think of another one, honestly. But the thought is oil tankers can't pivot quickly, right? I mean, they do what they do, and we kind of water ski off of their wake, and say they throw off enough wake. There's so much business out there to be done, and so when we thought about our solutions, it was like, how do we provide the proper solution to help somebody? And that's really the genesis of SVP and how we think about it. And we start from there, right? Like, how do we fix this problem? What's the right way to do it? How to get everybody's interests aligned? right? Like you alluded to the fact that you're in a hotel. Again, they need the connectivity, no different than the airport. You said you're in DC, right? So Reagan, Dulles, they need the same connectivity as the hotel you're in, as the business down the road you're in, but they all come at it from a different perspective.
And we're sick and tired of crappy Wi-Fi that we pay, $15 a night for, when you have this amazing 5G spectrum that's just out there and available.
Yeah, absolutely. And so part of our platform is a little bit of a secret sauce. So I don't want to give away all of our secrets to be.
Oh, come on, give it all up now.
That's why people listen to Data Movers.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a ton of growth in this space. That's what we're hyper focused on. There's a ton of room for everybody in it. That's for sure. And a lot of folks are moving up and down that ladder, where you see companies going after the larger type of portfolios, and you see the large guys trying to come down to what we call the enterprise market, where you can consolidate about a bunch of assets. But we're happy, with what we're doing. And, our goal is to continue doing this, that's somewhat off the radar, even though I'm on a podcast right
now. Well, and can you explain to our listeners what it took to bring your vision to reality, and what it means to you and your customers?
Yeah. So it took us launching it, taking the risk ourselves. My partners and I pushed the money forward, built the business that way. And then really we had the right sponsors. When we got to certain critical mass, Tiger Infrastructure Partners, who are our sponsors, really smart guys. They saw the opportunity the way we saw it. And they believed in us, and they backed us from the onset. And so that's great, right? When you have people that are willing to say, okay, we get it. We see your vision. We know there's a ton of risk involved. We believe in the team, and we'll help you get there. But we also believe in the opportunity, right? And so that's kind of where the launching side came from.
Yeah, we hear so many great things about Tiger. Yeah.
Awesome. Great guys.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to do, we don't have time today, but I'd love to do a deep dive on the technology front. I follow the CBRS private 5G networking space, and it's such an amazing opportunity. Maybe we could do a part 2 with your technology experts. But from the CEO perspective at SVP, what does the future look like to you? I hate to ask for 5-year predictions, because invariably we can't think a year or 2 ahead, much let alone 5. But what is your long-term perspective on the industry and where it's going?
Yeah, to touch on what you started off with the CBRS, right? And we could definitely do the deep dive there. We're in that space too, right? We have the largest CBRS system, I think, in the country.
Wow.
It's at a large brand new casino in Las Vegas called Resorts World Las Vegas. I think there's something to that, right? I think it's kind of like I explain to people, it's kind of like the internet in 2000, where everybody's like, this thing's cool. We don't know how we're going to make money off it yet, but everybody's rushing into it. And so I think there'll be a model in CBRS, and there are those out there that are a lot smarter than me that can talk on that, and certainly within my firm, and be happy to do that. I think from a 5-year perspective, there just needs to be so much infrastructure built out, specifically on the in-building side, right? So right now the carriers are really head down focused on building out their macro networks. But the reality is, 80+% of calls originate indoors, right? And those are calls. Forget about all the data and everything else that goes through there. So there's an area that they're not focused on yet. They know it's real, right? And so they only can do things in stages. And so we're trying to build out that type of infrastructure and bring them in with us as we move along. But I think there's just a tremendous runway in this enterprise space, especially for wireless connectivity. And part of that's DAS, and part of that CBRS, and part of that will be Wi-Fi, and there's just so many different sectors in the wireless space. And like I said, there's room for everybody. And we know folks that focus on specific verticals, and we have a few ourselves. And we're all kind of running our own little businesses and trying to get to scale in those markets.
I love speaking with you, Justin. It's just, I feel like there's so many little morsels you drop, and I just like want to dive in. So yes, we definitely have to do a part 2 of this. I think that's a fabulous idea. But I do want to get to the fun, fast, rapid fire question section of our podcast.
Yeah.
So think of the first thing that pops into your mind when we ask you some funny little questions. Here we go. So what's the most interesting thing that not many people know about you?
Wow, I'm pretty open book. And I have a big mouth and I talk a lot. So people certainly know everything about me. I think though, circling back to your first question, what gets me up and going every day are really 2 things. Naturally my kids, right? And trying to build something that they're proud of and that, one day maybe they'll do something with. I think the second part of that is, we've been talking about, I guess, and I keep using the stupid analogy, but I love trying to create businesses that are off the main path to start, right? And kind of see where these needs are, fill those needs, build those businesses up, and grow them from there. I think, that gets me going, right? Like how can we disrupt things? How can we do something different? Because if you're in line to do what everybody else is doing, that's fine. But I don't think it's not as exciting, right? It's not fun, right? And if it's not fun and there's no risk, right? Then you're not going to get the reward out of it typically, right? So like, the old counterbalance is the more risk you take, the greater the reward. And hopefully you win more than you lose, right? And everybody in the world's got losses.
Yeah.
But sometimes getting those wins is, makes up for those losses. And it's look, losses along the way are the best way to learn. But the W's are just as much fun.
I don't know how much truth this is, but I certainly heard that Elon Musk was like nearly bankrupt before he started Tesla.
Right. The guy's getting
the price of those are insane,
$300 billion now or whatever the hell it is. I know the markets have been tanking recently, but it's,
he's done good.
I think he's doing just fine.
Yeah.
But again, another guy that said, hey, like these solutions need to be met, right? And someone's got to do it. So I'll do it. And it's pretty awesome.
Great story.
Yeah.
So we're in the holiday period. What's a movie you could watch over and over again on replay?
God, my kids, like, even though they're older, certainly the Home Alone series they love, right? They love Kevin and they love that aspect. And you just can't go wrong. There's Christmas especially, right? Is that time where you have like Elf and the Grinch and like Home Alone and National Lampoon's Christmas. There's so many that I've seen 10,000 times that I know over the next coming weeks are just going to be on repeat in our house.
Literally on A Christmas Story, I think they play it on a channel that just back to back. So I think I know every line by now. But yes, Jaymie.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes the holidays feel like the holidays. Like there's something nice about welcoming them back into your home again. Like same thing with Christmas carols. Like did I mention I was Christmas crazy earlier?
Yeah, sing your favorite carol for us, Jaymie, right now, just for the listeners. That's another episode. Yeah, but that's on TikTok channel.
We'll hit that in the next deep dive. I want to hear Jaymie's songs.
More songs by Jaymie. All right. So what is the best new app on your phone that you've come across recently?
Oh, wow. I'll tell you a good one for those people that have children out there. It's called Bark app. And so just a tip for all the parents. I have 2 teenage kids and a middle school kid, and they're addicted to these things, these and whatever the heck else they have that's connected. And the best thing I ever did was get this app on my phone and limit their time, right, on these devices. And it was met with the utmost fiercest resistance. But it's kind of like you click the button, turn off their phones, or you could set these times. And it's just like, oh, you like they come running down. My phone doesn't work. I said, okay, good. Go outside and go dig a hole.
I love it.
Go play some basketball. Go do something that's not attracted to your phones, right? And so just a tip. That is worth its weight in gold.
I'm going to actually download that and set it for myself. I think.
That would be smart.
Because I'm a complete junkie when it comes to my phone. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us, Justin. Really informative and insightful, and it's great to see the next wave of innovation in wireless happening with companies like SVP, nimble, small, newer entrants, and I think that's where all the exciting stuff is going to come from over the next year. So
thank you. Honor and pleasure was mine. I really appreciate the invite to do this with you guys today.
Oh, we love chatting with you, Justin. You always blow my mind, and I love everything you're doing there at SVP. Definitely a company to watch. So thank you so much for your time. And listeners, if you enjoyed our Data Movers podcast as much as we've done, please go ahead and check out jsa.net/podcast for other upcoming episodes. We release every other week on Wednesday morning. So please join us.
Yeah, and follow us and engage us on Twitter. We need more tweets mentioning the podcast. Anyone who tweets, listen to this and tweets at me gets a $30 voucher for the holidays. So I want to let's gamify this and let's get some reactions to the show. Thanks so much.
Woo, you heard it here first, guys. All right, everybody, stay safe, enjoy the holidays, and happy
Take care.